Hello everyone, my name is Elizaveta. Welcome to WelcomeTech channel. Today we are talking about the recommendation letters, and I am planning to provide you guys today the ultimate tips of how to write perfect recommendation letters that would 100% get endorsed. So let's get started. Today we are not going to talk about like the structure of the recommendation letter. Is quite more like an advanced video, because actually the structure of a recommendation letter can be found on the technician guide, and if you're not familiar with this guide, I will leave a link down below. So it's basically a bible of the global talent, the most important site that you will definitely use whilst preparing your global talent visa application. When we are talking about the recommendation letters, I will just not get in details about the structure of them, but I will just remind you a little bit what is the structure of the recommendation letter. So I'm reading from the technician side. So your recommendation letters must be about your global talent visa application. They must explain how the author knows the applicant and knows the applicant's achievements in a relevant field, and how the author considers the applicant shows exceptional talent or promise, and the contribution of the applicant would make to the UK digital economy. This is something that is considered a structure of the recommendation letter. Actually, I will now start talking about the tips that I always use whilst preparing perfect recommendation letters from my clients, and I will maybe point out some mistakes that people do when they are writing their recommendation letters themselves, so you can know more about that. So let's get started. So the first tip that I usually is quite controversial, actually. I think that you should be writing your recommendation letters yourself. Of course, that the recommendation letter, its philosophy is that like someone is writing about you. But firstly, if you are asking to write a recommendation letter, people who are C-levels of digital technology companies, which is quite the perfect referee, they won't write you a letter fastly. Sometimes it takes, sometimes it takes like month for them to sign your letter, but to write it, of course, it will take them extremely long time. And they do not know the structure. They do not know what this letter must be about. So of course they will make mistakes, and their letter will be imperfect. It's a better idea for you to write the letter first, right? And then to send them and say, are you okay with that? Do you think I can send this letter? Do you agree with that? Will you sign it? And they say yes, and they will sign it. Or they say no, please correct this and this, and it will be much better and it will be much faster. So please write the recommendation letters yourself, or let the agency that you're working with write your recommendation letters. The second tip is your recommendation letter should collaborate with your pieces of evidence and other documents. How should it collaborate? So it's very important that if you are writing about products in your recommendation letters, for example, the products that you have worked on, I worked on this and this product, and this and this company, all the products that you talk about in recommendation letters, they should appear in pieces of evidence, because otherwise it will be not clear why are you talking about them, and it will be not clear what are these products, so they will just not count them. And the same, if you are talking about some products that you worked on in your pieces of evidence, it's very important to add this information to your recommendation letters. So it's basically all the products should be recognized by someone. So all the products that you write about in your pieces of evidence, they should appear in someone's recommendation letter. And the same with personal statement. When you're writing a recommendation letter, it's very important. It's extremely important to write right from this perspective of the referee your plans for the future. For example, the applicant is going to be product management in digital technology company in the UK, for example, right? So they are writing about your plans. These plans, they should be the same as in your personal statement. It's very important, but I saw some people make mistakes there. It can lead to rejection. Please don't do that. The third tip about the recommendation letters is include numbers, as many numbers as you can. Actually, all the metrics, everything that is connected to the revenues of the companies that you write about in this recommendation letters, everything that is connected to like the amount of maybe, I don't know, participants in this participation, for example, right? They should all include numbers. If you are providing a recommendation letter with no numbers, it's better not to. It will get rejected 100%. Always provide as many numbers, as many real materialistic, right, metrics as you can. So for example, what can it be? Your product that you worked on, for example, in this company, you write that I have worked on this product and it helped to increase revenue of the company by, I don't know, $1 million, for example, right? And you should sometimes change your numbers too in this recommendation letters. For example, in the second letter you write, I worked on this product and it helped to increase the revenue of the company by 40%. Like this. So it should always be included. You should always provide official metrics, like I started working on this application and the amount, for example, of monthly users increased, or I helped to save the money for the company, or I have I helped to attract new users to the company, and so on. So it should be all about numbers. So it's just all the other facts, they're just swirling around that, actually. So right, this is tip number 3. Tip number 4 for your perfect recommendation letter is when you are applying for the Global Talent Visa, it's very great if you know someone who have received this visa, or if you know someone who lives in the UK. Please, you should do everything but to get a recommendation letter from these people who have received the visa or who work in the UK. Because for the technician, people who have received the Global Talent Visa, they have their trust. Because technician really trusts them. You know that this is like an interesting fact, it's kind of off top, but it's an interesting fact that if you are translating something, right? If you are providing some documents that were not originally written in English and you are translating them through, for example, like official translators, right? It should be authorized translation, but the translation can be verified by other Global Talent Visa holders. So they can say, yes, this is an authorized translation. I verify that. And this is it. So, and it's considered like an authorized translation. So they have like a great trust in them. And if someone who have received the Global Talent Visa writes that this applicant is a perfect candidate for the Global Talent Visa, of course you should do that. Of course you should do everything to get the letter from them, because it will be a really strong and powerful letter, actually. So this was tip number 4, and tip number 5 is, again, many people, they get confused when they are choosing their referees, when they're thinking, who should I ask letter? It's very confusing, right? I agree. But you need to understand that you can ask people to send you a letter even only if they are eligible for the Global Talent Visa themselves. This is extremely important, and no one really talks about that, but even if you have like a product manager that you want them to sign your letter, like this person is product manager, for example, in like a big company, but it is not IT related. Like, it's not a digital company. It's not a good idea. But maybe if this person is like a CDO in a startup, for example, right? Or some C-level, even in startup, it's better. It's much better to choose this person, because this person is second person is eligible for the Global Talent Visa. It's a person, and the first person is not. You should only ask eligible for the Global Talent Visa people to sign your letters. And this was top 5 ultimate tips of getting global talent visa. If you have any questions, I will be happy to answer. Thank you very much and goodbye.